edition of Chalk Talk from the Denver Pioneers as we have hit the middle of the month of October somehow, and we're diving in. Fall sports season, winter sports season feels like it is nearly here, and we are into the heat of the Denver 2021 soccer campaign here in the fall, and joined yet again by the Jack and Sheila Weinberg head men's soccer coach, Jamie Franks, here at DU. Jamie, it's good to see you. What's going on? It feels like it's been forever since we did this last, and we have a ton to cover, but how have you been?
When you take one day at a time, it does feel like forever. We've had a lot of matches in between, and the team, has gotten some good results.
Very good. Winners in 5 of your last 6 since we talked last. First 3 matches in league play in the Summit League. It seems like you guys are hitting a very good stride right now as we get in the middle of October. How do you feel like your group has settled in? We talked early on about some of the youth on this roster and the chance to experience this, team atmosphere and working together in the preseason before school got started. Young guys seem like they have acclimated well, but this group now, winners in 5 of the last 6. How do you feel like they've kind of settled into this season?
I think it's our job to define roles, and build those roles around, the strengths of the players. And so for us, I think we've just found a lot of success, having the guys be the ones that identify those roles. And so we did a bunch of different leadership development exercises to start the season, both in positional groups and then individual goal setting. And so for us, it's this time of the year, it's being really, really clear about our expectations and the performance evaluations, whether that's 15 minutes, in a game, or whether that's a week of training. Our job as a staff is to make sure that our performance evaluations are being very specific and targeted to what behaviors we want to see more of. And so I just think we've got a better idea of what each of us bring that makes our team, special and makes the system of play work. And so when everybody does their jobs, the team, gets a collective result.
We talked in our first conversation, which was all the way back in August, about the name that I dropped before head men's soccer coach at the start of this episode. A very generous gift to the university from Jack and Sheila Weinberg, which has kind of given this program an additional dimension, it feels like, with the head coaching endowment. On Saturday, got a chance to honor Jack and Sheila Weinberg prior to the hockey game. I know they were there taking pictures on the ice with Face Off. And for you guys as a program, kind of building this thing, getting on a roll of momentum here into the middle of October. Tell us, for people who missed that episode in August, the endowment, what the Weinberg support of this program means for you guys, and for you as a head coach to carry their names along with your name now into this season. What does that mean to you?
It means a whole lot, positive coaching. Their family has been in the Chicago area for a long, long time, and it's made such an impact, there at Northwestern and the hospitals. It's just a legacy, and then the Weinberg family has the highest character and positive optimism, environment and coaching. And so, for us, it's such a huge deal because we've already had more alumni step up from them. You need kind of the first to lead by example, and I think every alumni really wants to try to leave the place better. Than when they found it, and Jack and Sheila, they started dating here. They went to classes. I'm sure Jack got good grades in those classes. But for us, it's just, to have somebody that's trying to leave it better and kind of made that first jump. We've already had tons of outreach of other people that want to support and just, to kind of bring everybody in loop. It's like, it allows us to go and play Virginia on a Monday night. It goes, it allowed us to go and play, SMU on a Monday night. And these flex funds just give us a little bit of wiggle room with our budget to, try to make the best student athlete experience possible for these guys. And so it's coming from an alumni. He's so visible, he's always in and around the team, and he's been a mentor of mine. So I just feel really, really fortunate to honor their name. And, the only way to do it is just one day at a time, try to live through your character and your values.
This team has done a lot to do that, to honor that name and to honor that next step over the last several weeks. And I mean, this season overall, you come into this campaign and, you feel good about where you are as a program. To start off 8-2-1, I would imagine makes you feel a lot better. The last year and a half has kind of thrown wrenches into everybody's world in certain ways. And in the sports world, we're obviously no different from that. As broadcasters, we all kind of got this weird taste of remote games last year, doing games off of video feeds and all that. And you, not COVID related, but you had to do that as a coach this week. And we're going to talk about Monday's match in this extra time win over Virginia on the road and how big that was. But first, I got to ask you what it was like as a coach to not be able to be there. You had to watch this one from home. And like I said, again, not COVID related. I just want to put it this way, how torturous was that?
Just about as torturous as tearing your Achilles at a practice, for the ones that don't know, I just took a step wrong playing with the guys. It's something that I take a lot of pride in, being able to play with them, and maybe my age is catching up to me. So I joked with the guys. It was like I was just finding form, and I just started feeling good about my game. And so, being disconnected as soon as the injury happened, I had this interesting feeling from the other leaders, Masaki and Brad and Jose and Bump, and I definitely felt it from my staff, and increased ownership. But I was just really surprised to see the way the student athletes reacted. They knew that, that they had to step up, and all of a sudden we have increased ownership. We've had increased communication. We've had increased teamwork because of it. And that's a sign of a really good team. And so when they were departing, when I saw them off on Sunday morning out to Virginia, the staff kind of looked at each other and was just like, we're going to win this game. And I think watching the game from a distance, for one, I couldn't even find what TV provider. You have Hulu, you have Comcast, you have all these things, and somehow you don't get the soccer game on that network. That was a nightmare. Almost had a panic attack there. But finally, you just feel, for me, I felt in the game that, our identity was so apparent. There was a grittiness to the way that they played. And, we gave up a goal and we were out shooting them 7-1 or 7-0 when they scored that first goal, and most teams would crumble. And just to watch their body language, to watch the way that they were interacting with each other after that goal, I turned to my kids and my wife and I just said, we're going to win this game. And I scared the bejesus out of my kids because I was yelling after the first goal, and then the second goal was even worse. So maybe bedtime was a little bit later, but it was just, it's one of those things that when you're watching your group play, you're just so proud of them because you root for them. We think that you can control three things, every day, and that's your grit, that's your grittiness, that's your positioning, and that's your your proactiveness, the way that you kind of approach things. And I thought from a distance, it was really, really good for me to see, hey, this is our identity, and the collectiveness was based off our positioning. The guys just looked like they were together on the field, more so than Virginia, and the game wasn't going perfect, but you just had this feeling that we were going to win the game. And so we called in a halftime, like little adjustment. I had whiteboards and I had all these pictures going on. So I was sure I was bothering my staff, but like when you hire good people, you make sure that they can do their work and you kind of stay out of their way. So they were the ones in the game. I have ultimate trust in Masaki and Brad to make the right calls. And so I didn't want to overdo it too much, but like watching the game from a distance and not being there to hug the guys or to run and jump in the dog pile is just about as painful as the Achilles going down. So
well, I would imagine the celebration was fun, even if it was weird at home. Destin Norman with the goal in extra time to give your guys the win. The thing that I think stands out maybe most about that win to observers is the fact that your guys did it on short rest. They play on Saturday at home, get a win in a conference game. You knock off St. Thomas at home, one of the newest members, of course, of the Summit League. And then to turn around the next morning, go on the road to Virginia, play in Charlottesville on a Monday night, and come away with a win ahead of the Stanford matchup coming up on Saturday. You talked a little bit about what it was like seeing them kind of in that group think mentality of we're going to get this win, but not a lot of teams can turn around on short rest, go 2 time zones east, play on the road at an ACC opponent and come away with that win. What does that say about the maturity of this group? And even just the way, tactically they're able to settle into a game against an ACC opponent to come away with a win?
Yeah, I thought when we looked at Virginia, there was things that we thought if we give them the ball to start the game and we played more in mid block, that we would get our opportunities. And we were right. I mean, we got the first 7 chances of the game, so just, I think the guys watching it from a distance, the guys now have a little bit more confidence. They have more confidence in each other. It is a new team. We're so young in certain positions. And so just kind of going on the road and being that gritty and you're right. There is all these variables that you can account to. We went through all of the variables. We made all the excuses that you could make before we left on Sunday. And we said, okay, we're all on the same page. These are the excuses that we could make. But when we're sitting, and Christmas time, with our families, like, what would you do to play this game? And you could tell that there was, extra focus, increased ownership, but like I said, when they left campus, it was like, man, these guys are going to get this result. And watching, Deston Norman and Kengo and Stewie, those are guys that have not had the best starts to the season and are very, very, very good players. And I'm just so proud of them because they've been gritty. They have not pointed fingers. They've not played victim. They've not made excuses. They've literally have just looked at themselves and increased their work rate. And all 3 of them have played such a major part in these past couple games. And so that's what I'm most proud is watching some of these guys, not struggle a little bit, but really grow through adversity. And so for us, everything that you're talking about, we're going on the road as much as we are is because, we feel like we got to win, 2-3 games on the road to really win the national championship. And so we're trying to put ourselves in these weird environments and these short rests and all these things. And so, if you can't tell, I don't like excuses. So it was great.
And you mentioned Kengo Hero with his first goal of the season. That was in the 80th minute to get that game tied. And so your guys come home now, and you've got a lot of stuff coming up in kind of the Denver soccer family. And we talked last episode about the DU Hall of Fame induction ceremony that'll see Nat Borchers inducted into the Athletics Hall of Fame, the University of Denver. And I know later on in the month, you've got Alumni Weekend coming up on the 29th and 30th with Omaha in town. And this weekend, a big one that we're going to get to talk about. But to have come from last year when you didn't get to have an Alumni Weekend and now be back in a circumstance where you get to bring members of the family back and celebrate and watch this team together and be around each other. What does that mean, especially in the light of the absence of that last year, to be able to have that chance again this year?
Yeah, I think we briefly talked about it in the summer, but we've had alumni reach out more so than ever. And I think during the pandemic, a lot of people kind of reprioritized and kind of had a moment to reflect. And I think a lot of the people that we heard from were people that were interested in giving back. And I think that they're looking at their experience, whether they played every game for us or whether, they were a role player, they look at that student athlete experience and understand that there was a whole lot of learning. And there was a whole lot of growing from that. And maybe, in this next generation where everybody says, oh, there's low resiliency and low and high entitlement, that doesn't really happen within a sports team, especially not ours. And, it's a team first mentality. And so I think what you've seen is just a lot of alumni reprioritize, how they want to spend their time. And, already going on the road, we've already seen alumni at almost every game that we've been at, which is just such a cool feeling right after the game. And the stories that they tell and, the experiences they had, those are the memories. And so for our guys to be exposed to that, it's awesome. And Alumni Weekend, we had to make it versus Omaha. Anybody that's been around here in the past decade, there's no better opponent to beat than Omaha. We really enjoy those. And so, for us, our guys, our alumni, they're everything because they're the ones that have laid the foundation, the brickwork down so we could, continue to build the house. And this program's just been amazing because that's what we've just done over the past decades. And so it's really cool to have so many people reach out. It's really cool that there's 2 or three other guys that are interested in helping with the endowment that are alumni. We just take a lot of pride in leaving it better than when we found it.
This weekend, you get a premier program in town in the Stanford Cardinal, who are coming in 4-5-2 this year on the season. They're actually coming off a draw with a common opponent. You guys saw Oregon State early on in the season. They played Oregon State in this last match. To get Stanford coming into town, you guys have gone out there and played in Palo Alto over the last few years, 2018 and 2019. But to get these kind of blue blood programs, these high profile programs coming in, how important is that from the landscape of coming to Denver to play at your facility and bring that brand of, okay, this is Stanford soccer that's coming in now. Those are important moments for programs. What does it mean for Denver when you have somebody like Stanford coming in?
Yeah, well, I think, the biggest thing is that, Stanford, what was Stanford 10 years ago? And I think, for us, playing college soccer, being in college soccer, Stanford was not really a household name at all. And I think bringing in Stanford, they won 3 national championships in a row, and it gives our guys belief. It gives our guys hope. And if you're looking at, big conferences, the ACC hasn't won a national championship since 2014. And so if you're looking at some of these programs that are up and coming, it gives us hope. It gives us hope that, the way now that people talk about Stanford, was not the way that they were talking about them 5-6 years ago. And so for us, to have them come in, we had to play 2 road games against them, Jeremy Gunn is a friend of mine. And so, he's not scared to come out to Denver and play. That's not really what, and unfortunately, not that I blame some of these other Power 5 conferences, but, they don't want to come out and play us. And so we have to go and find these games on the road, which is fine, but at the same time, we've got a beautiful, $8 million soccer stadium. It's right in the middle of campus. You get to stay right near the train. And so, we believe that the environment that we're getting, as we get more fans, as we get more tickets, as we get more of, an atmosphere there, it's going to be hard for some of these teams not to come and play us, because of the, the branding that we're doing. And so, we wanted to prove to ourselves first that we could go out and play with anybody, to beat anybody in any condition on any given day in any circumstance. Like, that's football. To win a knockout to win knockout tournament games, that's what you got to do. And so we're constantly trying to put ourselves against the best. And Saturday, I don't really care what their record is. They play in your face style of soccer, which should be really, really fun for our guys to compete against. And I'm just really looking forward to watching them respond.
This is kind of a question out of curiosity of the coaching mindset. You've got 2 common opponents with Stanford this year. They played SMU early on in the season, took a loss. You guys got the draw on the road at SMU. And like I said, both saw Oregon State. They're coming right off that game. How much does it help in being able to evaluate a team that's coming in that you don't have a ton of familiarity with in terms of what your schedules generally look like when you see, okay, well, we saw this opponent and this is them on film against that same team. How much does that help in scouting? Obviously, you know what you're going to get with Stanford coming into a certain degree, but is there an advantage in being able to see, okay, this is what they did against Oregon State, and we know what that Oregon State team feels like?
Yeah, I think there's no doubt about that. I think, the men's soccer, we really have come together over the past 5 years, like our coaching committee. I think you're going to start to see us make better decisions with the student athletes. The one thing that I want to make sure that everybody hears from me is doing what we did against Virginia is not really it's not in the best student athlete. They shouldn't play a game and then have to travel and then play another game. But that's just that, those are the cards that we've been given. But to your point, it's now the men's soccer group has worked together really hard to make sure that everybody has scouting video. And then there's a place where all the data metrics will go. And that's been really helpful. I think maybe 5 years ago, we were recording all these different games and all these different TVs. It was it was madness. And so, just men's soccer, the men's soccer committee just done such a good job of trying to advance our game. And that's one of the things, scouting. For us, Stanford plays a 4-4-2. They play the ball on top of you. They play a game of mistakes for you. They want to put the ball in areas where you have to defend. And so that's not very similar to many of the teams that we have played. There are some teams that are more direct against us, but maybe didn't have the same quality or the same type of ideas that they do. And so, we're going to have to be really good when that ball comes in on top of us. We're going to have to defend that really well. And we're going to have to make this, really, really good decisions coming out of it. And I think you watch them lose in the NCAA tournament last year, and North Carolina just said, every time you put the big ball back on us, we're just going to put it back on you. And that was a certain way. And Oregon State was the opposite. When they put the big ball on top of Oregon State, they really tried to build and play through the phases. And so, some sort of combination of that is probably more of, our style. But the guy, what has made Stanford good over the years is that, they make you make mistakes. And so that's their system of play. And for us, we feel like really confident in what we do and who we are and our identity. So it should match up really well.
All right, Jamie, last question for you. I know, in our early episode, we talked about kind of some of those things as far as the student athlete experience goes and scheduling and all of that going forward in the men's football community. But, as the schedule sits right now, we're coming into the home stretch in this 2021 campaign. You get to dive back into conference play toward the end of this month and then on into November. And the Summit League tournament starts November 11th. We're inside of a month until you hit the road to Macomb, beautiful Macomb, and get to swing through that tournament again. To see your guys coming together and playing the way they are now as you get closer and closer to knockout football, what does that say to you guys as a staff about where you are, and what do you want to see these guys continue to grow in as you get closer to the conference tournament and beyond?
That's a good question. Ask me in a month's time. No, I just, it's always about just trying to maximize the day in front of you. And I think for us, that's the attitude that we've had. And because of that attitude, we haven't wasted many days. And I think our approach, our focus, our work ethic on the day it's been awesome. And the group is so fun to coach because they're so committed. They're so committed to each other. They hold each other accountable. They make our jobs really easy. And so, we know exactly how many training days we have left. That's written in the locker room. Every time you walk out, you know exactly how many days you get left. Because, I think everybody's tired. Everybody's trying to study, everybody had, we had our first midterms the other week. And so, just understanding the players, understanding their emotions, understanding, their physical, their mental energy, managing all of that, that's our jobs. But at the end of the day, it's it is about going after it for this last month. This is a really intense month. The pressure goes up, the anxiety goes up a little bit. But the best players, the best teams are the ones that use that to further their focus, to kind of further their commitment. And we know what's in front of us. We've waited a long time, last year, not getting in the NCAA tournament, and not being able to play out of conference, then them putting us in the first round of the NCAA tournament. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy, for us to have the success we've had over the past decade and been in the NCAA tournament as many times as we have, for us to be put in that first game. We're pissed. I'm still pissed about it, if you can't tell. And, our guys, we carry that chip on our shoulder. We know that we're trying to, accomplish something here at the University of Denver that's never been done. And so that means a new, higher level of ownership, higher level of accountability, and higher level of resiliency. So I love the group. It's been so fun. But we were very, very, very aware that this last month, it is the most important, and all the work that we've done to put us in this position doesn't mean anything unless we put it in on the day.
4 more matches for this Pioneer football team, with 2 coming up at home, as Denver soccer will take on Stanford coming up this Saturday at 4 p.m. on campus. And then October 30th against Omaha in town under the lights at 7 o'clock for that one. You can get your tickets now. And the Jack and Sheila Weinberg head men's soccer coach, Jamie Franks, all the best in rehab with the Achilles. I'm assuming that is arduous, but I know nobody will attack it quite like you. And we'll see you out there coming up. Good luck this weekend against Stanford.
Thanks so much. Go Pios.